Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We're going to do something a little different than usual, and as you can see the setup is a bit different, and I have a new camera, the Sony ZV-1, and I can see myself. I can look at, like, I have a whole viewfinder on my camera. My old camera was this chunky SLR that I've had for maybe like 5 years, and they didn't even have the flip monitor thing, and it's a nice camera and I love it, but like it was so cumbersome when it came to vlogging, which is why I got myself this Sony ZV-1, and this is my first time using it, and so far so good, so I'm enjoying it. But before I get onto the main topic of today, why not hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the future videos that I upload, because you don't want to miss them, really. I know you want to subscribe, so why not just push the button. Moving on to the topic of today. The reason why I decided to do this today, this is very unscripted actually. So this is just me being me. I normally do my videos unscripted, but I have like the outlines of, like, in bullet points what I'm going to talk about. Today I don't have any notes, I don't have any outline. I'm just going to talk to you guys creative to creative and be very, very honest, and I'm going to do a lot more videos like this. But the reason I'm doing this is because this week has been a very busy week. There's been a lot of birthdays, had a lot of things to do, and I just didn't have any time to upload my podcast this week. I do it every 2 weeks. The Unstuck podcast goes up every 2 weeks on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that kind of stuff. Every 2 weeks I talk about a topic about creative entrepreneurship, and I talk to a guest and all that kind of stuff, and I have guests that are coming onto the podcast, but I just did not have the time to record an episode. In the past, I would kick myself about it, especially when I used to upload my episodes weekly. I used to really kick myself if I didn't upload an episode, but now I've allowed myself to just rest and to be realistic about the things that are happening around me. So I really knew that, I wasn't going to record an episode, and this is related to the topic at hand. The topic is not about podcasting, but the topic is about something we like to call hustle culture. Hustle culture is very prevalent today. Go on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, whatever social media platform, especially Clubhouse as well. Hustle culture is very prevalent today. Because we see a lot of examples of, like, people being successful and posting all their wins online and talking about their wins and not really talking about the hardships of the journey. And we all see the wins, and that's the hustle culture. Let's just define hustle culture before I move on. In Google, just a quick Google will tell you, hustle culture in a nutshell, it means constant working. It means devoting as much of your day as possible working-hustling. There's no time out or time in at work. Work is done in the office, outside of the office, at home, at coffee shops, anywhere. That's hustle culture. Hustle culture is the kind of thing saying, the term says, I'll sleep when I'm dead, or like, I only get 2 hours sleep, and that's how that's how to get successful. Successful people don't sleep, which is a dirty lie. It's that kind of mindset, that kind of hustle culture where it's like, all your time needs to be spent working on something and trying to get that money, trying to go further and kind of level up. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being ambitious. There's nothing wrong with trying to get money. There's nothing wrong with trying to get that body that you want for summer. There's nothing wrong with creating things and pursuing new business ideas. There's nothing wrong with it. And I don't really think there's anything wrong with hustle culture per se. The description I just read is kind of the worst case scenario actually. But hustle culture is basically that. It's just spending all your time hustling. And if you're not hustling, you're learning about hustling. Your whole mind is just engulfed in hustling. Just hustle hard, whatever. I see a lot of people talking about the hustle. Releasing products and saying, oh, I just won this new contract, or I just got this new job, and we're just seeing people's wins all the time. We're not seeing the struggle. I know there are quite a lot of people that actually post, they tell you, okay, I'm looking for this job, I pray I get this job, and then they get the job and then they post that win. But there is a pocket of people that are creative entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, and they are constantly talking about their wins. They are constantly talking about the good things happen to them, but they're not talking about the challenges. And that's the main thing. And that's why hustle culture can be so toxic, is because we absorb so much content that tells us, yes, do this and you'll be successful. Don't sleep and you'll be successful. Sacrifice, fun, and you'll be successful. You don't have any time to spend time with like family and friends because you're hustling. You're trying to build for your future. Your future self will thank you for the suffering of today. That is basically the motto of hustle culture. And there's another side of it that's like, to be successful at a young age. Me, I'm turning 33 this year. I'm still young and I still got a lot of time to achieve these dreams of mine. But it can be very, very... I used to be a lot less patient with myself because I was like, I want to make it into the 30 under 30s list of successful black entrepreneurs. There was only called a Black Power list back in the day. And there was a magazine of really successful black people. And they had an under 30s list. And I always wanted to be in that under 30s list. And because of hustle culture, I was hustling all the time. There were times that people were having fun. I was just like, no, I'm gonna pursue this thing. I'm gonna try and build this kind of idea of mine, and it might make me successful. Just because I don't know if it's gonna be successful, but I'm just going to try anyway. I'll spend most of my time building and working. And now that I'm in my 30s, I'm having to unlearn those habits. I'm having to unlearn this kind of mindset that I had to always be hustling, and I've forgotten how to have fun. I used to be such a huge gamer, and I'm only just getting back into gaming again because I realized, whoa. And it was because of the pandemic, actually. Because of the pandemic, I couldn't do anything, and I had so much more time on my hands, so I started playing video games again. Started playing Animal Crossing, started playing Zelda again, played Hollow Knight for the first time, loved it. So I got back into my gaming side again, thankfully. But if I spent all my time hustling, I would have taken the pandemic as an opportunity to kind of have success. But it is okay if you didn't do anything in lockdown. It's actually absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine that you didn't do anything. It's absolutely fine now that, things are opening up again and you're still not there. That's absolutely fine. You shouldn't let anybody tell you that you've wasted your opportunity because you didn't jump onto the bandwagon of trying to release something and stressing yourself out and making yourself sick. And that is why I didn't release an episode today of my podcast. I had to be realistic, and I'm tired. And how did I get into the hustle culture? I got into the hustle culture from reading self-help books. I love self-help books. But there's a toxic side to self-help because you've spent so much time reading self-help that you feel like you have more knowledge than everyone else. And then you start applying these things, but you have to realize that everybody's story is different. Just because Rich Dad Poor Dad Joe Kawasaki, is that his name? Can't remember his name, but Rich Dad Poor Dad, that guy had a certain life and he did certain things a certain way. You can't just take his blueprint and do it the same way because it's probably not going to work because you're in a different environment, different time, different country, different lifestyle, different family, different education. Everyone's life is different, so you can't just take one person's hustle blueprint and apply it to yourself and do it exactly the same and expect success. First off, you need to define what success is for yourself. And if you don't define what success is for yourself, then you can get wrapped up into this hustle culture that's just like work, no rest. But you need to make time to rest. You need to make time to enjoy yourself, time to recuperate, time to recharge. And if you don't do any of that, you're just going to burn out. I know myself. I had enough self-awareness knowing that if I keep working, I'm going to burn out. I've burned out countless amount of times. And I've learned from that. It took me about 10 years, but I learned from it eventually. In my 20s, I was starting businesses and selling stuff. And after reading, what did I read? I've read a lot of books. I've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've read a couple of Gary Vaynerchuk, but I think Gary Vaynerchuk is very different. I'll explain that in a second. And 4-Hour Workweek and all this kind of stuff, which these books and these leaders are fine by themselves, but you have to take everything with a pinch of salt. If any person is telling you need to work and don't sleep, I would be very wary of that person because there's a speech by the hip hop preacher, right? Very cool guy. But one of his most famous speeches, it ends in a way saying basically you have to want success more than wanting to breathe. Something along those lines. It involves a guy taking someone holding his head down underwater and then the guy gasping for air, and he's saying, yeah, that's how you should feel about being successful, basically. You need to want it as much as you want to breathe. And that's also fine. That's also fine. But I think there's a toxic side to that, in that everything is work. Everything is success. Everything is your hustle. But everything is not your hustle. What about your emotional health? What about your mental health? What about your physical health? You need to make time to exercise, at least. What about your family? What about your loved ones? So this is something that I had to unlearn, because I wasn't making time for these things that were important. And it's not even just my thing. Like, because I spent so much time working on my stuff, I didn't just spend time working on my stuff, pardon me, I was spending time working on other people's stuff as well, for free. I'll take that same kind of mentality, and I know you should do things with excellence, but I'll be running on empty, and eventually I won't be able to give them all the energy that they needed from me. And that's how this hustle culture can damage your reputation, because you end up burning out, and you make promises. I know there's people watching this video that tell people yes to everybody's doing favors for everybody, but you don't actually have the time to do it, and then you let people down because you've taken on too much stuff. So be very wary of this hustle culture thing. What I was gonna say is take everything at a pinch of salt. Even Gary Vaynerchuk, as much as I love Gary Vaynerchuk, I can only take him in small amounts because he's so high energy. But even he says he gets he gets a lot of sleep. Gary Vaynerchuk gets a lot of sleep, and he says it's a marathon, not a sprint. And that's another issue about the hustle culture, is that they make it seem like it's a sprint, that you can do this, and they be successful very quickly. That's not the truth. It's a very rare thing when someone does something a certain way and becomes successful really, really quickly. In most cases, they've done years of preparation beforehand, and when they got lucky at the right time. After all that preparation, all the combined experiences that they've had allowed them to get lucky. Even with the stuff I do, with the training that I do for other creative entrepreneurs, is I don't promise them that they will be successful. That's not what my job is. My job is not to tell you how to be successful. My job is to prepare you for when you're eventually successful, is to help you with your mindset, your creative mindset, and to strategize. If I now said, my methods are going to make you money, my methods are going to make you successful, where success is different for everyone, I'd rather help you define success for yourself, and then you chase it yourself in a healthy way, than me shove these ideas down your throat. Which there are a lot of fake leaders that are just like, I can show you how to make money really easy by drop shipping or whatever it is. There's a lot of scams. There's a lot of people that are just telling you to join their courses for like thousands of dollars or whatever, and they're not really telling you anything. Google is free. So I just wanted to share that and show you the toxic side of hustle culture. You're not a robot, you're not a machine, and you can't just work all the time. And you need to know when enough is enough. You need to know when to recharge, which is what I've done. So I hope this video has helped you. Remember, in the comments below, let me know your thoughts, and remember to subscribe, and also subscribe to my podcast, The Unstuck Podcast, on Spotify, Apple, and all your favorite streaming platforms. And yeah, that's about it. So hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.